Capricorn, welcome to your reading. So just a reminder of the way that I read energy, not, can I get the, I read energy, not gender. That means that anyone can show up as a king, queen, prince, princess, knight, page, emperor, empress. It has more to do with if you're in your masculine or feminine energy. Masculine energy gives and takes action. Feminine energy receives and nurtures. We all have both. It just depends on what energy you're in as it pertains to this particular situation. The energy of this reading is coming in very clearly right now, so I'm not going to go into my little spiel about reading it as a love story or not, because this is definitely coming out as a reading that pertains to mother wounding. So let's just go ahead and get into let's go ahead and get into the reading. This is gonna probably be a reading that might be sort of triggering for some people, but it's good stuff. Let's do this together. So Capricorn, you're coming into this reading with a with a feeling of being very up in the air about the way that you feel about things, very unsure about the way that you feel about things. Wanting for there to be happiness in the situation, especially as it pertains to a family situation. But beneath that, there is a lot, it's a very broken heart. But you want to make it better. There is a want for you to make this better. Normally I don't show the cards that I use to get the energy of the reading, just because it makes it take a little bit longer. But I think it's pretty important, the way that this reading is coming out, that we do that. So let's go ahead and do it. The first thing we got was just up in the air, which is just telling me that you haven't really decided how you feel about the situation. And then we get happy family and broken heart, which tells me that the situation is concerning your family, but there's pain there. But we also got victory that came out that tells me that you're open to this healing, that you want this healing to happen within your family. And then the next deck that I use is Dreams of Gaia, which is a very powerful deck, at least for me as a reader. It's a very powerful deck. And the first card that we have that came out is the Mother. And even as I was shuffling, I felt like I knew this card was going to come out, and sure enough, she did. And then the next card that we had, well, the next three that we had come out, the first one was the Two of Air, and this talks about, it's a very Gemini sort of energy, but it talks about duality, seeing both sides of things. And then, because this deck is so amazing, the next thing that came out was Five of Water, and this talks about loss and heartache and pain and hurt. And then we had the Eight of Water, which talks about happiness and recognizing the things that are good, things that have happened that are, happy memories, happy times, happy situations. And I think that it's, as we get into this energy of talking about your mother, recognizing that not everything's always been black and white, that there's definitely a duality in all things, and that while there may have been some very hard and difficult times, that there's also very happy times to recall as well. For many of you, this mother wounding has brought you, it's something that causes a lot of grief, and has really brought you to an impasse. And impasse in this situation is really, it's keeping you stuck, because this wounding hasn't been looked at, it hasn't been examined, it hasn't been processed, acknowledged, healed and released, and it's kept you stagnant. Because we have to do that in order to grow. And we had discovery and growth that came out. I can tell you that a lot of times there's going to be both situations for you Capricorn, and I've talked a lot about my mother wounding with my mother, which was very, very difficult for me to come to terms with. You know, I'd had counselors over the years tell me, you know, you have issues with your mom, you need to resolve. And I'm like, no, I don't. My mom's perfect. My mom's wonderful. My mom's always been there for me. My mom's always been supportive. And what it came down to is my mom was a flight attendant and she was gone a lot. And I have major abandonment issues that I've had to work on and get over. And that was a huge part of it. And it wasn't that my mom was doing anything abusive or, you know, intending to cause any trauma. But these are things that happen in our youth that even, you know, with the mind of an adult, we can understand my mom was just going to work to provide for us. But the mind of a child doesn't understand that. And those seeds are planted in a way that the mind of a child understands it. So we have to go back and kind of dig them up and plant new seeds there. But when we're willing to do that, when we're willing to take a closer look at that and to recognize, yeah, there might be traumas there that you know, my mother caused that I need to look at, that I need to heal, that I need to be brave enough to acknowledge. When we do that, then more wisdom comes in for us. We grow. So, and for other people, you know, there might be a lot of hostilities. I'm not picking that up necessarily here, but there might be a lot of hostile feelings that are happening here for a lot of people, where you know, it's very easy to point the finger at your mother and to be angry with her. So, and that's coming out here as well. One of the big things that's coming out here more than anything is that there is a lot of love here. There was a reading back in October, I believe, the Scorpio reading, and they extended for it, and it was about mother woundings. And this kind of has a similar feel to it. So if you're, you know, mother is a Scorpio or you have Scorpio energy in it, you might want to go back and take a look at that. But having a lot of patience with the failures that you might have experienced, as well as empathy, understanding. I know that for me that it wasn't until I became a mother that I realized, oh my gosh, moms are actually still just humans. They don't have superpowers. They, you know, nothing changes in them that makes them all of a sudden superheroes that we think that they are in our child's mind. You know, that they're still humans that are going to make mistakes, and they need grace and forgiveness and understanding. And it wasn't until I became a mother and made mistakes with my sons that I'm like, oh, I hope that they will forgive me for my shortcomings as a mother. And when we recognize the grace that we long for, that we hope to receive, it makes it much easier to extend to others that need it. So we stop crying and being a big baby. Our mothers are the main females in our life, and then for many of us, in some ways, and not. It doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, an overriding way, but it can definitely be a situation that we need to look at and address, where we have bad health and poverty that's come. It's like such a crybaby right now. I'm sorry. Bad health and poverty with these cards. Poverty is you can see it's a child, and it's a lack mentality. It's the things that we tell ourselves, the things that we believe about ourselves. And bad health, you know, while of course it can be physical, more often than not when I read it in the tarot, it's emotional bad health. And this, I'm going to show you these two cards that came out and what they mean in a moment, but we have mature man and mature woman, but they both came out in reverse. So it came out this way. And I'm going to show you what that means in a moment. But when I asked how Capricorn was feeling about this particular reading, about this situation, the first card that we got was the Five of Cups. And with this particular deck, the Deviant Moon, I read more the illustrations. And if you look, we have a child who has a mother screaming at him. There's spilt glasses, just kind of a chaotic, abusive sort of feeling where he's trying to not listen to what the mother says. And I can only imagine what she's saying, and maybe saying things that she doesn't realize are very painful, or things that are going to stay stuck in this child's psyche for, a long time to come. And then when I asked what the situation is, we got the Four of Wands, the Page of Swords, and the Four of Cups. So we're going to look at them all individually, and then I'll tell you how I'm reading them together. When we have the Four of Wands, this is a foundation. And it can often be about marriage, relationships, things of that nature. But it's wanting to build a strong foundation. And you can see they've got their little, watermelon house in the back that they're dreaming of building. And they're falling in love here. And then we have this Page of Swords. And the Page of Swords looks. The Page of Swords communicates. The Page of Swords is very, very much watching, very much observing. And then we have this Four of Pentacles. And if you look here, it looks like we have this mother figure that's pulling this, this son away. And he's just kind of holding on really tight to, what little he has. And it's almost as if she's like, oh, you can't have that. That will never happen for you. You need to move away from this. And that perhaps anytime you feel like you can have that love or that strong foundation, you think back and realize, or not realize, but remember, words that were said to you in anger, or a way that you might have been made to feel that you weren't worthy of that, or that you would never have that, or that you could never have that in your life. And, remembering things that perhaps a mother that wasn't thinking clearly said to you. And the obstacle concerning that, we have the Three of Swords that's left you brokenhearted. The Four of Swords, this constant state of healing, of needing healing, and really kind of feeling half dead. If you look, it looks like they're kind of, in the ground, in a grave, really. All of these swords, too, are just a lot of overthinking things. And then we have death. But this looks like a mother almost pushing down on this child, keeping this child small. Which is where our mature man and our mature woman that came out in reverse kind of come into play here, where there might be areas of your life that you feel that your growth has been stunted, that you're still immature in some ways because of these interactions that you had as a child. You might, even if you're, I'm almost 50 years old, there's some ways that I wonder, like, am I ever going to get it together? But feeling like there's ways that your growth has been stunted because of things that happened when you were a child. So, that's where we are right now with it. Let's find out what the energy, I think I'm going to use a different deck. The energy to embrace, to overcome this situation. And I think it's going to be different for a lot of you, where it's, for some of you, you may have had a mother that was never her intention, that was never her intent to hurt you. And others may have been very intentional, may have been cruel mothers. Regardless of what the situation is, we've been commanded to forgive. It's not a suggestion, it's a commandment. And forgiveness is for you. it creates more space in your heart for good things. We don't have infinite heart space. I don't care when people say, oh, I have the infinite ability to love. No, you don't. We all have limited heart space. And we choose, what is the energy to embrace to overcome this obstacle, please? We all have limited heart space, and we get to choose what we're going to have there. We are going to, the Magician and the Ace of Wands, taking action for a passionate new beginning. Let's find out with what. It's definitely taking action, though. Being passionate about the action that you take. But we get to decide what we fill our heart space with, and is it going to be resentment and hurt, or are we going to do what we need to do to heal those hurts, to overcome those emotional, So we have taking action, a new, passionate new beginning, and then the Three of Swords, which is an indication of a need for healing, that you need to be actively, passionately trying to heal this. Tell me more about the energy to embrace, to overcome this obstacle, please. Looking for a way to bring justice to this family situation. Justice is Libra energy, and then we have Pisces energy with the Ten of Cups, which is a happy family sort of energy, but bringing a need to bring balance to it, that this is very imbalanced the way that it is currently. It's the energy for Capricorn to embrace, to overcome this obstacle, please. But every time we heal our woundings, every time we forgive, we make more space for the things that we really want in our life. I don't think anybody ever looks in the mirror and says, you know, what I really want in my life is to really hang on to this resentment and this hurt and this pain. Unless you're just, I don't know, say this, mask, I don't know which one's which. One likes it, one likes to give it, one likes to do it, I don't know. But I mean, unless that's your bag and you really like to walk around just feeling hurt, I don't think anybody wakes up feeling that way, you know, thinking that that's, you know, how they want to live their life. Healing is a choice that you have to make. It doesn't just happen. You have to be actively involved in your own healing, in your own transformation. And our trials, the things that are hard for us, are the things that when we overcome them will ultimately make us strong, make us wise. Good advice for the energy for Capricorn to embrace. Grief. Recognizing the grief. Understanding that losing something gives you an opportunity to appreciate it. It really is about recognizing where that hurt is. You know, like I said, for me, it was very, very hard for me to ever, you know, recognize that there was any grief that I had that was associated with anything to do with my mother. I think she's an angel. She is. Good advice for Capricorn. So coming to terms with that there's things that you might need to look at in that relationship with your mother. Or perhaps, you know, this might resonate for you as a mother. You know, there's definitely aspects of this reading, you know, I'll look at it when we're done, but Capricorn is my North Node, it's my Jupiter. You know, it's certainly significant in my birth chart. And I can see things already that as a mother that I need to look at, I need to fix. Growth. I want to expand my consciousness and my awareness. Like I said, we have to be conscious of the things that have hurt us. We have to be aware of them. We have to be willing to look at them, talk about them. You know, and not everybody is going to have a mother that's willing to participate, you know, in, then we got success, relationships, and adversity. You know, as we face these difficult things, as we face these hard things, we're going to find that we have more success in our relationships. Because we know how to overcome hard things, because we already have. Because healing is hard. You know, you can't just be a big wussy and expect for it to happen. You have to be willing, you know, to face that pain. Before I close this reading, I want to ask the Spirit how the mothers that are involved in this are feeling about the situation. Because I think some of you are thinking, well, I don't even think she realizes, you know, that she hurt me. Or if I talk about it with her, she'll be mad or defensive or whatever the situation might be. And you know, this is a general reading. It's not going to be for everyone. But if it resonates for you, you know. How's Capricorn's mother feeling about this situation? Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups brings an apology. He can bring offers of love, but he brings an apology. How would Capricorn's mother feel about, and this is, you know, if you have a mother that's passed away and you still need to work on forgiveness there, you can do that. I've had to do that with situations with my father, and you know, I would write letters to him. I would write letters to God about how I felt about things. I would write letters to my dad about how I felt about things. And until I got to that place that I could really, you know, come to realize that sometimes people, you know, we think that they're being awful to us, when most of the time people really are doing the best that they can do. Sometimes their best just falls really short of our expectations. So when I asked how your Capricorn's mother would feel about addressing this, we get the Queen of Pentacles, who is a very nurturing mother. But at the bottom of the deck, there's Nine of Swords, which is a lot of anxiety about it. But underneath that, we have the Four of Wands, stable family. That, yeah, this, you know, might be, you know, might cause anxiety initially, but it's worth it for the stability that it brings into the situation. So let's go ahead and get some advice from the Wisdom Oracle. I think a lot of you, when you think back, you know, especially if there was significant abuse in your childhood with your mother, and wonder why did she treat me that way? Why did she do that to me? You know, I was a good kid, or I didn't deserve that, or I don't understand. You know, we really have to stop and think about what their experience was. You know, we as parents, as human beings, are really only as good as what we've been taught, what we know. And so if you can think back to what your mother's situation was, you know, growing up, there might be clues there or things that you might not even be aware of that have happened. And just like, you know, we all have things in our lives that nobody else hurts, that nobody else knows about, you know, your mom can too. and that it's really important to have that empathy for the people in our lives, and especially for mothers. So can we get a card for Capricorn concerning this reading, please? We're all just human, doing the best we can do. Even moms. Get a card for Capricorn, please. Truth be told, an orphaned. Which are kind of breaking my heart that these are the cards, but this might really be how you're feeling, Capricorn, that you were let down to the degree that you felt that way, and you need to talk about it. That this needs to be talked about, whether you talk about it with your mother, with a counselor, with a friend. Otherwise, these cycles in your life are going to keep going round and round. You're going to keep having the same issues go round and round in your life, and you won't see that growth that we all want to have in our life if this wounding isn't addressed. So I hope that this was helpful for you, Capricorns. I hope that it provided some clarity, and I wish you all the best in your healing journey. And if I can help you with that, you can schedule a reading or Reiki with me at thislittlelighthealing.com. Thank you.